And like I've been saying here for a month or so since we've been here, if you got to be quarantined, this is the place to do it. This is going to be a great, great night for us guys, not only because it's an amazing weather here in Atlanta, but we got just a really, really, really cool partner on with me today. We're going to bring him on here in just a little bit. I appreciate you guys being here tonight. I appreciate everybody dialing in. And we'll get started in just a couple minutes. Hey, meantime, if Julie was here, you guys know what to do, right? Let us know where you're calling in from, where you're dialing in from. Always love to know that. Hope everyone's having a great, great week. Hope you guys are finding some great things to do where you are. I see Florida represented, Jersey, Miami, Rhode Island in the house. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So glad you guys are here. We're going to give everybody a chance to dial in. A couple people from Florida. Florida, man. Look at Florida, Tallahassee, Daytona, Miami. We got somebody in St. Louis, the Arches. I haven't been there in a couple years. Massachusetts, Buffalo, Wisconsin. Somebody else from Connecticut. So glad you guys are here. So glad you guys are here. Somebody from Georgia. Guys, I'm telling you, this just shows me that I'm just excited for you guys being here, you know. So many people at times like this, you know, you hate to say it, they're almost kind of like, well, I don't know how long this quarantine's going to last, but as long as it lasts, I'm out. I'm watching Netflix. I'm eating a bunch of food. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just out. And I know when it comes to real estate, most people don't jump into real estate just to pass time, right? This is not one of those kind of like, you know, cool TV shows you could be watching right now. So that's what gets me excited. If you guys are on here tonight, that means you guys are players. You guys are out there, you're looking for something, or you're actively doing something with us, or you want to be doing. And that's exciting to me. You know, in the world of doom and gloom, and all you have to do is turn on TV, it's doom and gloom. In a world where everybody rather stay in than go out, and that's just the reality where we are. In a world where you could do nothing for as long as the quarantine is, or try to grow. In that kind of world, man, I'm glad I'm with a bunch of winners. I'm glad you guys want to grow. Mississippi, more from Florida, New York, a couple more from Georgia, Tallahassee again, another one from New York, Charlotte, North Carolina. Love the city. My parents used to live there in Matthews. Columbus, Ohio. I grew up in Akron, went to Miami, used to go to Ohio State a lot, Lithonia. Awesome. Somebody else from Georgia, Dallas, Texas, Dallas Cowboys. When I came to this country, I was immediately introduced to the America's team, and that was the Cowboys. And I literally thought the Cowboys was America's team. And I thought everybody in America rooted for the Cowboys. So from the time I came here, we immigrated here to now, I love the Cowboys. So I'm glad Texas is in the house. All right, guys, we'll get started here in just a couple minutes. So glad you guys are here. We got a great topic. We got a great guest with me here tonight. Obviously, Julie's not here, but she was here just up until, about an hour ago. We were doing some amazing things here. We had some great planning meetings, virtually, of course. We recorded another webinar that we were a part of. We had some great corporate conversations. You know, we're not skipping a beat. It's amazing. You know, we're not talking about slow down here. We're talking about like growth, doing this, doing more of this. You know, how many things can we do here? What can we do here better? You know, I think it's just attitude. And I think that's just so important in a time like this, what kind of attitude you bring to the table. And I promise you, here in a couple minutes, we're going to introduce you to somebody with a killer attitude. Believe it or not, they're on the floor right now, and you'll see what I mean here in just a couple minutes. But our guest is literally on the floor right now, getting ready to come on here in just a couple short minutes. So definitely stay tuned, and you guys will see exactly what I'm talking about. So glad you guys are here today. I am excited. I hope you guys are also. Um, Great time to be in the business. Super duper time to be in this thing. Obviously making some adjustments, but that's life, right? It's all about adjustments, making some moves. Again, that's life. So, but we'll get into that shortly. What's up, Brad? Marietta. Brad, you're about 40 minutes away. We're right on Lanier, but you're not too far away from Rafa, who's in the background driving this whole thing. So glad you guys are here. All right, guys. Well, let's get rolling. It's about that time of night. Let's go ahead and get started. Still learning the technology of this stuff, but that's okay. I guess I don't need it all totally. All right, guys, excited to be here. We got a great partner, a great guest on here shortly, and we're going to bring on Chris here in a minute. But, I'd love to start out the way I always do, and that's just really address you guys at a personal level, and that is just to talk to you guys of, like, who's listening to us tonight. These weekly Tuesday night webinars we committed to long time ago, well over a year now. We have been doing this consistently. And as a matter of fact, as I look back at that time frame, this is probably the one thing that we have started with long time ago, and we have continued with and not deviated from. Because I think these Tuesday night webinars have a great impact on the people that dial in and that listen to us. And really what I've found out over that time is there's two categories of people that are here with us here tonight. Some of y'all are our partners, and that is exciting. I saw some of you guys with some messaging. I got a couple text messages here right on my phone from some of you guys that are here, and we're so glad. Because we are a real estate investment company, but we're a very unusual real estate investment company in that we do deals through partnerships. I mean, that has been our model for a long time now. Personally, I got about 22 years in this business. I've, done well over 3,000 deals. And some time ago, I realized that really the way for us corporately to grow, for us to corporately to expand, is to simply start partnering with people all over the United States. We here had some very unique abilities as far as real estate investment companies goes, in that over those 22 some years of investing, we learned how to do things remotely. They always hear real estate as a local business. Well, we learned how to do it outside of our localities. We had offices from here, Georgia, to Florida. We had operations in Texas, Colorado, up north towards Ohio, all the way to West Coast in California. And so we had these operations, but we wanted to be bigger. And we were trying to figure out, how do we get more like kind of boots in the ground, and how do we add value to them? And so we developed this partner-driven model. And so some of you guys are partners with us already. And some of you all are just started. Some of you guys started a little bit ago. Some of you guys were already doing deals with. Some of you guys we've already done multiple deals with. But this is just another way for you to connect with us and for us to connect with you. Obviously, if you're a partner, you have a million different ways to connect with us. You have access to us on a daily basis. You have ability to connect with us in a group environment, one-on-one. As a partner, you're utilizing other of our resources like leads, our amazing Deal Machine app. As a partner, obviously, many of you guys are utilizing our funding, our construction, and all that. So for those of you that are partners, so glad to have you. And my message to you is never changes. It's reset, recharge, recommit. Let's go. Let's go to that next level. And this is just another way to do that. Some of y'all are not yet our partners. Some of you guys are just kind of checking us out from afar. Some of you guys have been following us for a while. And you're trying to figure out this whole partner model. Kind of like, is it for me? Is it something that I want to be involved in? Is it something I want to do? Are these guys even for real? Have they ever even done a deal before? Are they working off theories, or do they know what they're doing? And the bottom line is, some of you guys are checking out from a standpoint is, are these the people I want to be involved with from a partnership perspective. And we're so glad you guys are here also, okay? Our mission for you all, you know, is very simple. We want you to be our partners. We wholeheartedly believe in our partner-driven model. We are 100% sold out to it. Everything we do at the corporate level drives everything, all our tools, all our resources, all our marketing, all our capital, everything we do is centered around getting more partners and doing deals with as many partners as possible. So if you're not yet our partner, as much as we love you guys and we so appreciate you guys are here, the goal is very simple. We want you to be our partner because we feel in our partnering program, it is absolutely the ultimate way to be successful from a real estate investing perspective. Remember, as a partner, you get coached and mentored by us. We generate leads for you. We provide you capital to do deals if capital is needed. On the deals where capital is not needed, we show you techniques and strategies that you don't know are even possible, and we get you involved at that level. If construction is needed, we help you with that aspect, and then we just put the properties in the market, sell them, and split the profit. Simple as that. And that right there is our partner-driven model. So for those of you that are like thinking that's pretty cool, you know, you as a partner have no risk, you have nothing at stake, no capital, no credit, you know, no screw ups. And believe me, screw ups still happen. It's all on me personally. And I've taken some big hits, and that's okay because I've also had some big wins with our partners. Anyway, for those of you that want to check out our partnering program, simply go to www.partnerdriven.com. Anytime during this presentation or anytime afterwards, www.partnerdriven.com. You learn more about us, put the information in there, and then off we go. Let's go do some deals. Guys, and that's what today is all about. Today is all about, are we actually closing deals? Are we actually making money? Are we actually operating in times like this? You know, are we actually, you know, are we kind of slowing down? Or are we kind of speeding up? Today's also about attitude because we have an amazing, amazing partner as a guest co-host, I guess, with me here tonight. And it's all cool. It's all good stuff. So I want to bring on Chris West. Chris, my man, you there? Now, Chris, oh, there he goes. Hey, Chris. What's up, buddy? And for those of you guys that could see Chris, and I assume everybody could see Chris at this point, you know, I was saying Chris was sitting on a floor. Literally, Chris is sitting on the floor. You know, it was so funny. It was, we dialed in here a couple of minutes before 7 o'clock. You know, if you think about it, like, you know, if you have a big presentation or you're trying to impress somebody, you know, or if you're trying to put the best, and I'm just poking fun at you, or you're trying to put the best foot forward, you know, usually it's like people dress up, people are sitting in boardrooms, people like this. I dial in, and the first thing I'm like, dude, are you like sitting on a floor, like in a hallway?
Best spot I can find right now.
That is all. You know what? I think, you know, we could probably talk about that statement for the next 45 minutes. I mean, that is like the perfect definition of Chris. I mean, bottom line is it works, right? You got to do whatever you got to do. And he just, I don't know how many of these you've done, Chris, but Chris figured out, hey, I need lighting. The best place to get lighting is here. And I'm not going to let, you know, crap get in the way. And that is really cool. So my compliments to you there. Chris, listen, I could literally spend, when I was saying, you know, a minute ago that I could talk about you for a while, I really can. And there's a lot of things that you exemplified. I don't even think you know, like when it's kind of like did Michael Jordan know he was Michael Jordan till like Michael Jordan was no longer playing? And then he realized, holy crap, this is, and so I think a little bit about you as I've gotten to know you here more and more here recently. I don't think you yourself even understand like the coolness you bring to this whole thing, the attitude, you know, the uniqueness, you know, I mean, I don't, and that's sometimes the worst thing is that people don't like understand the gifts they got. And sometimes when people don't understand their own gifts, they kind of, they let that slip by. And then next thing you grow older and you look back at your life and, I wish I would have, I wish I could have, and all that stuff. And you fall right into that category of, no, I don't have to wait for life to slip by. I don't have to wait for that. If you look at so many success stories in the United States, like, and I'm not talking about, at the levels you and I are at. I'm talking about like the success stories that so many have heard about, the Bill Gates of the world, the Zuckerbergs of the world, the Jobs of the world, the Warren Buffetts of the world. If you trace back their history, the one thing all of ultra successful people that I've studied have in common is somewhere along the line at an early age, they exemplified something that everyone else did not exemplify. It could have been in totally unrelated industries. Their gifts could have been totally unrelated, but somewhere, something at that early age, you could almost go back and say, oh yeah, well, heck, look at that. At 19, he did this, or look at that. At 18, he did that, or look at that. At 20, he did that. And so he already showed it. And Chris, you fall in that category. I mean, my compliments to you. It is just, for me, being like probably old enough to be your grandfather, it's like, it is really, really cool. I mean, it really is cool. It's one thing for me to sit and talk to somebody my age, right?
Yeah.
And that's cool because I could relate to them maybe at an age level. I could relate to them potentially at circumstance level, but I could tell you it goes like off the charts when I can talk to somebody like yourself. Because I wish I could pinpoint myself to the category of like, yeah, well, look at me. When I was 20, I did this amazing thing. Well, the most amazing thing I did when I was 20 is I think I somehow was able to not flunk out of college. That was like, and that was an amazing thing for me because like I did nothing right back then, And so I really didn't show any kind of signs of success early on. But man, you obviously are. We're already doing stuff. You already got a check,
Right.
or a wire, I think. So you're already doing that. So the first thing is, Chris, I've done all the talking. Tell us a little bit about Chris before this whole thing took place.
Before this and all
Real
that,
estate.
I was a 20-year-old college student living at home, going to school full time, working part time, serving at night, going to school during the day, serving at night at a restaurant. So that was everyday Chris before this.
Okay, so like think about this. So if I'm a 20-year-old kid living at home, working at a restaurant, I'm not really exposed to like how do you even find out about this stuff? It doesn't sound like you had too many friends that were uber successful back then, right?
Yeah, no, not at all.
So what got you, how did you even decide? What sparked the interest?
I guess, I was always interested on being successful, but I grew up caddying at a country club. So I was just around like the success of my city, Dayton, Ohio. So I guess that kind of always interested me on business and how to be successful, but I never really did anything with it with them because they're just old dudes. So I just knew you could do it. Never really like how or what they did. And so that kind of exposed me to it, but then it kind of just drained out when I stopped working there. But I always had it in the back of my head,
So what ultimately prompted you to take that first step?
I was tired of just sitting around. I don't know. I've never really been a big fan of school, as I can tell. You struggled, but like, I don't say I was struggling, but I just didn't really, my heart and passion wasn't there. So I just was basically just trying to get through. I was like, I don't want to just live my life trying to get through and not enjoy what I'm doing, because there was nothing I could do with school or even after school is what I wanted to do. So I had to figure it out.
It's so interesting because as we started here tonight, I was so focused on your age, okay? Because obviously the one thing that really anybody that looks at you, the very first thing they're going to say is, wow, that's a young kid. But your story is so relatable to pretty much, I think, anybody. How many 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds are an exact same thing, kind of home to work, home to work, home to work, understanding that what they're doing is not going to get them what they want to get, living in the world where, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that you're just kind of existing, that you're surviving, right?
Mhm.
So usually what happens at an early age, at a latter age, like when I started, trying to achieve something in life, for me, I was kind of beat up by that time. Like for me, I was like, okay, like I've pretty much sucked at everything I've done. I pretty much, screwed everything up that I've done. So for me, it was a no-brainer. Like for me, it was like, okay, I can continue to hit my head against the wall because basically that's what I was doing, or I got to do something more. I can't, like at your age, are you saying like you literally like realized that at your early age that this is it? I mean, you got to do something right now?
I guess I should say it wasn't just me because I'm the youngest of seven, and my oldest sister is like 41. So I've got a huge age gap there. So I've kind of seen everyone in my family go through that lull of just basically getting a job and going home and having kids and basically kind of not hating their life, but just being tired of the like everyday monotonous stuff. And so when I was like, I guess I was like 18, I was like, I got to do something else than not just have this lull of a life, I guess if you want to call it that. So it wasn't just me, I guess it was me, but it was also outside influences that I saw that
Yeah,
influenced.
but let me tell you something. That in of itself speaks volumes about you. This brings me up. I literally had a guy, and this was like I should have saved it for this, but there was somebody that I had an exchange of texts like a day or two ago, right? And this guy literally texts me and says, "I quit." And I text him back, and I forgot what his name was. Let's say Bob. I said, "Bob, dude, like you just started yesterday. How do you quit? I mean, you didn't really even start." And then he and I went back and forth a little bit, and um, he pretty much said he wasn't satisfied doing what he's doing. He wasn't making the kind of money. I mean, literally, he was like admitting this back and forth. And I always like, when I start doing that with people on text messaging, we're talking, I'm like, okay, well, let's see how far this goes. Like, let me just see, right? And the guy literally admitted to me all these things weren't going right. And then I said, Bob, so let me ask you a question. You're telling me all this stuff, but you have time for all that. Like you have time to be broke. You have time to be unsuccessful. You have time to make your boss, money, but you don't have like a couple hours for yourself every week. And I think what I heard from him, and he did end up quitting, but like it hit him like a ton of bricks, I think, as we were talking back and forth through text. Like he just realized that he had time to do absolutely everything that made him miserable in life, right? He had a time to go to a job that he didn't like. He had time to like get up in the morning that he didn't want to get up to. He had time for everything that gave him nothing. But the one thing that had at least a chance, no guarantee, but had a chance, he really had no time for. And it's really cool to hear someone like you to realize some of these concepts so early on in life. So how'd you hear about us? So now you're already okay. So now you're thinking, okay, I want to do real estate, but there's a billion ways of doing real estate. There's obviously there's a lot of programs out there. We're not the only people that do real estate.
Yeah.
How'd you figure it? How'd you end up with us?
I think I saw an ad on YouTube first, and then I signed up for a webinar, but that was like 5 months ago. So I knew about you, I watched the webinar, and then I was kind of like, whatever. And then I looked into other programs and stuff, and I was finally just like, F it, I'm just going to do it. And so I signed up, and here we are.
How long have you been? How long you been with us?
Almost a month maybe now. Yeah.
About a month. Well,
Yeah.
to some people, it's a lifetime. To some people, if they're into doing something for a month and they haven't seen like unbelievable results, to them, they're done. Okay. Like to some people, like, and we hear it all the time. Oh, I've been doing this for 2 weeks and I haven't like closed my first deal. I'm out. Some people will be like, hey, I've been doing this for a month or two. And Pete, man, look at this. I'm not making money. You're a little bit opposite of that. You've been with us for a very short period of time and you already have made money, right?
Yep. Closed my first deal in like 2.5 weeks in.
I mean, it's like, dude, we got to have something go wrong here. Okay. I'm young. I'm a waiter. I had nothing really going for me. I get in real estate 2 weeks in, I'm closing deals. It's like, you're like heading down this perfect trajectory. And I will tell you the one thing, and this is kind of like today is really meant is about you, but I will tell you, and I think I've told you this before, because now, I've really taken, an interest in helping you out because you have achieved the success. But I think I told you the first time I talked to you, be careful, because early on success sometimes is deceiving. You know what I mean? Sometimes it literally does happen because you kind of get a little bit lucky. You happen to fall into the right deal, talk to the right seller and all this. And so how I always evaluate like a real player is not by the success they have up front, it's how they handle the crap that starts happening. And so we're very happy, but I've told you that the very first time I talked to you. Ultimately you're going to see crap's going to hit the fan, and then but you're ready. I mean, I got great vibes from you and all this. So let's talk about this. Already doing deals, or you're already making money. Tell us about the first deal you did. Walk us through, like from zero. Like, how'd you even find it?
First thing I did is I just drove around and wrote a bunch of addresses down. I think I wrote 260 down. My girlfriend wrote them down. I just said them out loud while I drove.
Yeah. By the way, in full disclosure, even though Chris is hogging all the limelight today, there is.
Yeah, there's a little help. There's a little help.
Oh, come on. There's a girlfriend behind the scenes. And she's, I think, right there. You need to come out here, or she's doing it. So great. Hey, teamwork is awesome. I love it. I mean, I think anytime that you could be, whether it's a girlfriend, a spouse, a husband, wife, whatever, and the more things you have in common, the better. So that's awesome. This is one of those few businesses that you can do together. All right. Sorry. So you're driving around and you're jotting down addresses. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then we have this old historic areas, and there was this one that it was boarded up, falling apart, and the other houses around it are going for over 300,000. And so I was like, okay, I got to get this one. So I put it into the Deal Driven app and skip traced it, and then I called the owner, and he was actually looking to sell it. He just didn't really know what to do with it because he didn't think anyone would want to buy it. And I was like, well, I do. And so it worked out, and then I got the appraisal from my agents. It was like 30 grand more than what I got under contract for. So I was like, okay, we're wholesaling that. I thought I was going to do the flip, but you guys convinced me that the wholesale was better, and it worked out. I'm not complaining.
All right, so let's this is, by the way, Chris, this is exactly what we teach people to do right now in today's marketplace of how to find deals and get them. So when you were initially driving around and you guys were getting these addresses, specifically what addresses? I mean, did you just literally drive down the street and here's address 1, here's address 2, address 3, or was there some methodology behind these addresses?
So my method is we have a certain areas that are being basically revamped and redone right now. So I just drove through and grabbed the ones that are like in between the new ones that are run down, boarded up, or have like sheets in the windows, and old windows is a big indicator because we have a lot of like historic buildings that are over 100 years old. So if they have those old windows, they're not really taken care of, or if they're falling apart with the roofs, gutters falling apart. So it's basically rundown buildings in areas where there's nicer houses, if you know what I mean.
Let me point something else out. It is amazing how many times I'll talk to people, or we as an organization talk to people, and they'll say something like this. They're like, oh yeah, I've been doing this thing for, 3 months, and I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do, and I've got no results. And so I'm kind of a numbers guy, right? So I'm not really necessarily, I'll ask them what they're doing, and a lot of times they are doing the right thing, but then we get to the numbers, right? And I'm like, well, how many sellers did you call on? Well, Pete, I don't know. I think in the last 3 months, I've at least called 20 sellers, right? So here's the first thing I totally love about you. You've been in this thing for just a couple weeks, and how many did you say?
In the Deal Driven app, I have over 500. I've called probably over 250.
There you go. I mean, look, a lot of times when people can't figure out why they're not successful, It has nothing to do with it doesn't work. It has nothing to do with it doesn't work in my area. It has nothing to do with your techniques like that don't work. It all comes back to how much time and effort you're putting in. Now, interestingly enough, and you know, and again, this is everything's proportion in life. You know, everything's perspective. And a lot of times, the people that'll tell me, "Well, gosh, I've called 20 sellers in the last 2 months, Pete, and nobody wanted to sell me the properties." And man, like, and some numbers were disconnected, and some guy hung up on me, and like, and then I cried for 3 days, and it was so sad. And this just doesn't work. And it's all perspective, right? And I'll tell people, like, forget our industry. Like, check out people that are on Wall Street, right? They make like $200 or sometimes $300 a day.
Yeah.
A day. So I think, Chris, kudos to you. You blew it out of the water, but even that's not like superhero level. I mean, there's people in the industry that do what you did over a couple of weeks. They do like in every single day. So the first thing I love totally about you is that you made up, obviously, your mind. You're going to just go for it, right? So you got a couple hundred numbers, you know, you're up to 500 now. You started calling the sellers. You skip trace through our deal driven app. You got the contact information for the seller. You called him. The first time you talked to the seller, just walk us through a little bit how the conversation went.
My approach is what I've learned is you don't want to talk business right away. So I try to be polite, ask him how he is, and then you lead into why you're calling him. Because I mean, there's a lot of people that you call, be like, "Why are you calling?" and then hang up. Yep. But he was some older gentleman, and I was like, okay, you got to sweet talk him in a way. Like, it sounds bad, but you got to be polite about it. So you got to make sure you're a friend before your business, which is what I learned how it's on all the deals that I'm getting are just because I'm being nice. So.
You know, it's amazing how many times I'll tell people it's a relationship business. You know, so many times people will look at somebody like me who's been in it for 20 years and they just think I have an unfair advantage, right? They're like, well, you've been doing it for 22 years. Or, well, you've done so many deals, right? And I tell people the success of this business, sure, it helps, you know, having credibility. It sure helps having experience. But the basic fundamentals of building this business is something that everybody possesses. For instance, what you just said, you just talk to people. You're nice. Okay, you don't have to do something for 22 years to be nice. You know, you don't have to do something 3,000 times over for somebody to hang up the phone with you and say, well, that's a nice guy. You know, I could do business with someone like, I don't know if I will do business with him, but that sure is somebody that I felt comfortable talking to. So the great thing about this business, why I always tell real estate is a great equalizer. You know, so many other businesses, it's a lot more than that. Like, if you want to be a brain surgeon, you can't nice your way to like being a brain surgeon. I don't care how nice you are. If you don't have the skill set to be a brain surgeon, you're screwed. Like, if you want to be an astronaut, I don't care like how much everybody loves you. If you can't think at an, you know, astronaut level, you're screwed. So most of the things in life where people become like uber successful, I would never be able to do because they literally require skill sets that like guys like me don't have. Like, I don't have the scruples to be an astronaut or the strategic mind planning they have. You know, I couldn't command an army. You know what I mean? I couldn't lead General Motors. You know, I couldn't operate. But I could be nice. I mean, you know, if I could talk to somebody and like when they hang up the phone, like, well, I don't know too much about him, but that. So cool. So you had the initial conversation. Where did it go from there?
Mentioned that he owned the property, asked him a few questions about it, like how long he's owned it and what he's doing with it, which he's been nothing with it. He just sat on it for like 7 years. So then I talked about it, asked if he wanted to come out and meet me at the property and walk through it. And he was okay. We went the next day and I met him with my contractor that I had lined up and got under contract that day. So that was it. Pretty easy.
Here's another important thing and again, sometimes I think guys like you don't realize the incredible skill set that you have. Cause to you, it's like, well, I just did 500 this, and then I called this guy and I met him. But what you're doing is amazing. But here's the thing, guys. So many times people look at a business like this and they really do think beyond, forget being a rocket scientist. They think just inside this business, something magical needs to happen. And what I always tell people, sure, it's nice to have a skill set of a negotiator, like even me, only because I've negotiated so many deals. You know, it's nice to have like the backup that I have. Well, I got 22 years of developing my backup, right? But the greatest equalizer this business has, why literally anybody can do this business has one amazing equalizer: numbers. Mm-hmm. Where someone like Chris, at his age, with really no background and really necessarily no experience in real estate, could just say, you know what, I might not have every single skill set I need, but the one thing I can do is I could work. So instead of calling like 5 people today and like, I'm done, like I called 5 people, I got rejected, I'm out. Or instead of like, you know, making 20 calls and getting a hold of 15 disconnected numbers and say, oh, screw this, I got 15 disconnect numbers, this doesn't work. Chris did something that came naturally to him that doesn't come naturally to so many people. He said, I'm not going to do this in a set of 4s or 5s. I'm going to do this instead of hundreds. And when I do this instead of hundreds, something amazing happens. Numbers take over. I mean, in the end, whether it's Chris or myself, or I could really take on any random person and say, look, here's 500 random phone numbers, call them up and just say, listen, are you interested in selling a house that you own? And chances are that if you just dial 500 random numbers, with all the disconnects you get, with all the wrong numbers you get, with all the, you know, BS that comes with it, chances are you kind of just stumble upon somebody that says, oh yeah, God, I'm not really doing anything to property. Yeah, sure. So the great thing about this business is that even when you're not good, you could be very good. Even when you don't have all the skill set, you could still be winning. Even before you get to the levels where you have like someone like who's been doing this for a couple decades, you know, resources and infrastructure, even before you have that, you have some great, amazing other things that could work in your favor. And that is what makes real estate such an amazing business. Okay, so you went to see him. You got it under contract the very first time. What was the initial price he asked for?
He was asking for 130.
Okay, so initially when you asked him the very first, and by the way, did you tell him 130 or did he tell you 130?
He told me 130.
Love it. And I know you've listened to me before. It's all about get the seller to give you the price first. Whoever says the price first loses. Okay, he gives you 130. Where did we end up putting it under contract for?
105.
Amazing. How do we go from 130 to 105?
Well, he didn't really care about the property. I was like, well, I'm not going to get him at that high of a price. So I started at 75. He beat me on the negotiation a little, but it was worth it. So, it was just, I was at 75. He was like, okay, I can go down to 120. I was like, okay, I'll do 80. He was like, okay, 115. I was like, 82.5. And then he basically down to 105. I was like, okay.
Dude, amazing. I mean, like you're just like so flippant about this stuff, but this is amazing stuff. This is exactly how I teach in negotiations. I don't know if you've seen my videos where you just naturally have it.
Video. I just went through that process and it worked.
It's exactly what I say. Somebody says a 130, you go at 50%, you know, then you just go back and forth. How do you go in increments? You don't go in huge increments. Like you said, you went from 80 to 82 or whatever, right? You go in smaller increments so the person feels like they're winning. And think about it, 130, 75, you end up just about in the middle. I mean, it's not rocket science. It just stuff works. It absolutely works if you're willing to work it. All right, so we lock it up for 105. What happens next? Walk us through from that point on to the point that we're cashing checks.
Well, I sent it to the support people and, I had my agent with me too come right after I got the contract signed to get a look and what his as is, because you guys want the as is and ARV for what. And the as is it was like 140. And So the support was like, we're definitely going to wholesale that. And it was actually the agent decided to buy it because he thought it was a great deal at 135. So just handed it right to my agent, basically.
So Chris did, again, exactly what we teach people to do. You have a third party individual, usually a real estate agent, verify the values. Again, it is shocking how many times we work with people like, oh, I don't need to have a third party people validate this. I know my market. Dude, I know my market too, but I always have validated. So here's the next skill set you bring to the table, Chris. You're coachable. You're coachable. You know, most of the time, the reason people never get successful is they get in their own way. You know, it is shocking to me how many people work with us. And remember, I'm not tooting our horn, but we've been around for 20 some years. We've got thousands of deals behind us. And then you'll take somebody who's just getting started in this business, and before you know it, they're literally telling our staff like how to do the business. Okay. So something and I know we didn't teach you this, but you're just coachable. We just told you, Chris, here's how you get values. Here's the due diligence process you go through, right? So you had your realtor on standby. We verified the values. Now, did he put it in the market and sell it? How do we sell it?
He put it on the market and sold it on the MLS.
Amazing. This is another thing we have the ability to do with our partners on wholesale deals, quick turn, quick flips that almost nobody else in the country could do. The way our contracts are written, structured, we have the ability to literally pre-market our deals before taking ownership of them. Okay. And I could tell you, as far as wholesaling is concerned, that is like killer. That is like winning. That is a huge advantage. So you lock it up for 105. How much initially did the agent put in the market for?
45.
145.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did we ultimately sell it for?
35. 135.
35. So Chris gets it from 130. Is that what he was asking initially?
Yeah.
Very interesting. He gets it from 130 down to 105 by using the exact same negotiation skill set that we use. He utilizes our support staff to walk him through the initial beginning of the stages of the deal. He uses third-party verification to get values. We list it for 145. We sell it for 135. Obviously, we had a realtor involved, so we paid a commission out to the realtor, right? Was there an opposing realtor, or did your realtor find the buyer?
There's an opposing realtor.
Okay. So probably 6%, right? Okay, so we paid 6% out in commission, so we're in at 105, sell it for 135, pay a 6% commission, probably some closing costs, and then what did you and I end up splitting?
It was almost to a 20. It was like 19.8, 19,000.
Let's call it 20.
Yeah.
Here you go. Now, how many of your friends are doing deals like that in whatever they're involved in right now?
0. All home, sitting at home playing video games.
They're all sitting at home playing video games. You know, and the reason that I wanted you to be on here, Chris, is, you know, I know I kind of angled this from your age, and that's important. I think it's great. I think it's I wish more young people would take hold of this, because the one thing that a young person has that someone like me could never have again is you have time on your side. I mean, literally, you have a huge advantage. You know, you take someone like me, I mean, I don't have a ton of room for too many more errors in my life. You know what I mean? I kind of got to I don't want to start at 0. That's not what I'm going to do. Someone like you have time on your side. So if you for someone who's young like you, is you bear down in this thing and you put your head in the sand and you're just like, I'm getting this done. I don't care what the hell happens. I don't care who says no. I don't care who says yes. I don't care how many things fall apart. I don't think how many things. I'm getting this freaking thing done. And you do it for the next 5-10 years. I mean, it is possible by the time you get to your 30, it's easy street from that point on. And that's hard to comprehend. It's hard for someone like me to comprehend. You know what I mean? Because when I was in my 30s, I was just trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do. So you have a huge advantage being young. You have time on your hand, and that's great. You have an advantage of that. You can enjoy things more than some of us that started a lot further along in our lives. But the other thing, the reason I wanted you to be on today is you have and I was trying to point them out as you're told the story of this deal. You got some natural qualities. You know, I always tell people, like, you cannot train yourself into being a Tom Brady. You know, you cannot train yourself into being an Elon Musk. And, you know, some of us would love to be, you know, I'd love to throw a football like Tom Brady, but I guarantee you I can go through a million footballs and I am never going to be Tom Brady. Okay. There are certain qualities that we kind of have, you know, we're kind of born with, and you got them, man. I'm telling you, you're a natural. You're just a natural. As you talk the story, as you tell us your story of kind of who you are, and you walk us through this deal, to you, it's just you. It's like, well, I did this and I did that. And I'm listening to you. I'm like, man, that's special. That's really cool. That's really cool. And, you know, and as people watch you today, I know you're going to give a lot of people a lot of hope, you know, and because you're just like, you're real. You know, sometimes people look at some other people and they're like, well, I get it, but that's not real. You know, that's kind of fake, or like they're trying to say something, or they're trying to pump crap up. That's not you. I mean, you're real. I mean, you could just listen to you and hear you, and you're like raw and you're real. And that is freaking awesome. That is freaking awesome. And, you know, now you and I are working directly, right? Every day, you and I have an accountability going on and all this. And what was the text this morning you sent me? Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, I called. I was calling some people yesterday, and I called this older lady, and she already sold the house that I actually called, but she has 3 more that she wants to sell. So I have an appointment for that for those 3 on Friday. So
that's freaking awesome. That is freaking awesome. And, you know, it's interesting that so many times, well, not so many times, so many people during times like this, it's kind of what I started out, you know, this is a time to lay low. This is a time to do nothing. And I say, no. There's never a time to lay low. There's never a time to do nothing, you know, and we here at Partner Driven do not buy into this concept we're slowing down. We refuse to buy into it, because when you buy into a concept, it's an excuse. And there's always an excuse. Forget the pandemic we're up, because there's going to be another excuse. You know, there's going to be another reason not to do something. Okay. There's going to be something else that gets in the way. And so either you buy into excuses or you don't. And that was so cool. You texted me this morning. That's right. You got now a seller, and, you know, we're on our way to doing more. And the other thing, and I mentioned this, but this is so huge. I was talking about you to our girls today, and Laura said something like, well, Chris got, I think there was another deal you might've been working on for like 25,000 or something, and then needed a lot of rehab. I can't remember the numbers were, but you kind of wanted
27, needed like 60 grand rehab, sell for like 160.
Yep. And here's what they said that was so cool to me. They're like, and Chris wanted to take it in this direction, and we explained to Chris why we needed to take in this direction. And I said, and they said, and he gets it, and that's cool. I mean, you're a coachable guy. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how many people stumble all over themselves. So anyway, Chris, this has been amazing. I really, really appreciate you being here. I want to continue following you through this. You know, I'm going to give you everything I got to get you to those next levels. Okay. Because someone like you can inspire 100 times more people than someone like me. Okay. And so I want to make a pact with you tonight that we're going to cross the finish line. Okay.
Right,
and let's do it. We're going to cross the finish line. We're going to go through crap together. We're going to go through successes together. I think you're just an amazing individual. You have the ability to inspire. You come through totally genuine. And that's what I really like about you. You know, you no pretense, no trying to be something you're not. So again, I really appreciate you being here. You're a winner, dude. You're definitely a winner. And however you found this initially through YouTube, I'm glad you did, because I know I'm not the only guy on YouTube. So I'm glad you did. Congratulations on that other deal.
Thanks.
Let's get some more deals going. So I'm going to sign you off. I'm going to finish this off. But listen, buddy, I appreciate it, dude. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you're not logged off. All right, I'll touch base with you in a little bit. So guys, this is it. I mean, this is what the partner-driven model is all about. You know, could sit here and we could harp about, look at me and look at how many deals I've done and look at my resources and 22 years in this thing. And that's cool, right? But the partner driven model is not about us. It's not just about us. It is about guys like Chris, okay? It is about taking somebody who's really, he's a kid, and give him the ability to do $20,000 deals after being part of the partner driven model for just a couple of weeks. So what's that worth? I mean, to me, that's a gold mine. You know what I mean? Sure, it'd be nice for me to make 20 grand. I mean, that's a lot of money for anybody. But man, to be able to make that with a 20-year-old kid, I mean, holy crap. That means what we do works. What we do works. It's not for trial. We're not asking people like, check out our model and see if this is something that like actually works. It works. It works. It's been working. It works right now, and it'll continue to work. And so this is why we want more partners. We want more guys like Chris. We want more individuals like Chris. We want more people like Chris. It's fun. I mean, it really is fun. I mean, when you're making money, you're genuinely helping other people. You're impacting other people's lives. Anyway, how you spin that, as quirky as it may sound, and for those of you that know me, I'm definitely not the touchy-feely person, but you can't spin that any other way other than this is cool. I mean, this is cool. Like, think about it. What's a better way to make money than to help other people, right? And not handouts. There's no handouts here. There's no handouts of partner driven, right? We don't do the work for our partners. We don't shortcut the system for our partners. We just help our partners. We just genuinely take interest in them. We help them. In the end, we're like, okay, here's what we made, and let's just split it down the middle. That's our model. That's it. So, and we want more partners. So for those of you that are ready to do deals, for those of you that are ready to go through what Chris went through, for those of you that are ready to experience what it feels like to actually close a deal, make money, get paid, we want you. So simply go to www.partnerdriven.com, get more information there, put your information in there, and before you know it, you could be on this thing with me talking about your story. All right, guys, partner driven, it works. Thanks, guys.